Good morning, everybody. I want to thank you for that gracious introduction, President Jones. You know, it's really my privilege to work with Newton Jones, the international officers, the local union officers, and with the rank and file of the International Brotherhood of Boilermakers. As you know, Newton Jones is a first-class act. He is the voice of reason on the governing board of presidents. He's a true leader, and he's someone we all admire and look up to. You're very privileged to have that kind of president. Now, I want to thank all of you for advancing the notion of value on display every day as the calling card for the union construction industry. But before I go any further, I want to acknowledge the contribution made on behalf of all of us by our recently departed colleague, friend, and brother, Abraham Brie. As your legislative director and the Building Trades Department's legislative task force chairman, Abe was an invaluable member of our team, and I would personally like to acknowledge him before his IBB brothers and sisters. Abe will be missed, but his work on behalf of the women and the men of the IBB, and indeed the entire building trades, will never be forgotten and will surely be enduring for many, many years to come. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, again, I'm very honored to address your 32nd International Convention spanning 131 years. And I hope that you'll take to heart the words that I leave with you today. Now, I don't have to remind anyone in this room that in America, we are now almost 4 years into the greatest economic depression since the Great Depression. And we in the construction industry know that for us, for our contractor partners and our members, that this has truly been a devastating economic storm. It's tempting to conclude that our nation, our America, has kicked her working families to the side of the road. But I didn't come here today to tell you what you already know and what many of you are experiencing firsthand. What I did, however, come to tell you is what Newton Jones and the other general presidents of the Building and Construction Trades Department and Sean McGarvey and I believe our nation and its leaders must do to put America back to work. During past national crises, this nation could always take comfort in the fact that we had leaders who were on the job. We had people like FDR and LBJ and Eisenhower, leaders who had long-term visions. They overcame partisan differences in order to find solutions to our nation's most pressing problems. And in so doing, these great American leaders put the interest of the many, ahead of the interest of a special few. Where are those kind of leaders today? I'm talking about those leaders, the ones who wore saying, who were saying for the past 2 years that jobs are our #1 priority. Well, my friends, I regretfully submit to you today that the failure to create American jobs is a choice, not simply an economic reality. And this choice is being made by a chorus of misguided leaders who are more concerned about Wall Street's bottom line. They are singly focused on low taxes for the most fortunate among us. They don't care about how working Americans will feed their families and put roofs over their heads. I'm not talking about any jobs. The jobs that give Americans real careers and an opportunity to earn a family-sustaining wage. Jobs that will put our economy back on track to a sustained and a shared prosperity. Every day, our political adversaries rant in the media about President Obama's so-called failed stimulus. Well, the only failure of the stimulus was that it wasn't big enough. We should be rebuilding our nation's infrastructure on a massive scale. We should be building new roads, schools, bridges, public buildings, new electrical generation facilities, and so much more. These are the kinds of stimulus projects that not only create good jobs, but are the foundations upon which nations become great and nations remain great. Unfortunately, sisters and brothers, we now live in a nation obsessed by debt, not by investment. But the good news is that we, the building trades, bring our own infrastructure to the table. We bring generations of pride and craftsmanship. We bring over 1,000 state-of-the-art apprenticeship training facilities, investing over $1 billion a year to train the next generation of construction professionals. We bring a tradition of unparalleled performance in our industry. Today's union craftsmen and women are much better equipped and technologically savvy than we were 30 years ago. You and your members are using tools and perfecting on-the-job techniques that would have baffled me as a mere pup back in the early 1970s. Brothers and sisters, I admire you, and I believe in you, and I stand in awe of your skills. Our nations, both the U.S. and Canada, need you, and I, for one, will make sure that the top leaders in both countries never, ever forget it. But we, as trade unionists, also must never forget our responsibility to up our game at every opportunity. Ask any union contractor who's been around a while, and he or she will tell you stories about occasional, dreadful jobs, failed productivity, and poor working habits. Now, these are not just figments of the contractors' imaginations. They are real-life incidents that cause job delays, loss of owner confidence in our skilled craftsmen and women, loss of contractor business, and ultimately, loss of building trades jobs. And you need to know that our industry is often like a huge small-town gossip network. When a problem arises in one town, that problem is embellished, and it's used against building trades unionists in other cities across the continent. It's true. I hear these disturbing stories all too often. Our actions as leaders and members in our own cities and jurisdictions, good or bad, impact other leaders and members in faraway places. If we care about the construction industry, and I know you do, we must be single-mindedly accountable as trade unionists. And we must demand of each other nothing less than stellar performance every minute, every hour, and every single day. That, my friends, is what the customer pays for. It's what the customer expects. It's what the customer deserves. And it's the ultimate value proposition. Our members working on a job in California, they're on the same team. The same team as our members working on jobs in Illinois, in New York, or Nevada. You know, I know and I'm proud of the fact that on 90% of building trades job sites, the highest levels of productivity and performance are on display every day. But to the extent that all of us are responsible for less than stellar performance on 10% of the jobs, we must fess up and buff up, because there actually are other alternatives to an unmotivated yet highly trained unionized workforce. And those non-union alternatives control the market share that we don't have and that we want. Everyone knows that our members are the most highly trained construction professionals. So why is it that we have to struggle to increase market share? Now, you already know the answer, and I know it. It's because sometimes, albeit rarely, we can deliver more grief than we can deliver value.